Hello, good evening and welcome. Oh, it's that time again. I'm alive. I've got 30 seconds to wait now until somebody confirms it for me. But I'm confident. So if you're with us in the chat, say hello. Mike's just about sending the mail. I am live, aren't I? I can hear myself through your headphones. I've nearly deafened myself now. Excellent. So we're live. Something very, 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 very special tonight. Do you want to turn that down a bit before people think there's an echo? Oh, it's Saturday, what can I say? Well, we had a fabulous night last night. We absolutely did. We were at a Burns night. It was marvellous. Who's had haggis? Last year was the first year I had haggis, and I was a little bit nervy, shall we say. But it was all fine. I really enjoyed it. So we had the piping in of the haggis and everything else. And it was fantastic. But tonight we have something incredibly special. So if you are with us, you're with us live, you will want in your player to go down to the lower right-hand corner where you have your cog, and we are broadcasting in high definition. So make sure that you are in high definition. Despite the fact it says my stream status is somewhat on the dodgy side, I'm confident things will improve. So in that cog, you need to click the cog where it says settings, and you need to choose a quality of, what is it? 720 HD. So go and do that first before you do anything else. And the second thing you need to do is come and say hello to us. Now, there's something special that we're going to do tonight. Very, very, very special. If you are a MacBites podcast listener, you're going to adore this. And if you're an After Hours viewer, I think you might enjoy it too. And now, there's no better time to become a subscriber to the MacBites podcast. That should give you a little clue about what we're doing tonight. But I'm going to expand on that. We're going to be showing a whole range of Mac applications. I lost count actually, Mike, but there was 11, around 11. They are the cream of Mac applications for what we do, which is podcasting. But there's a whole range of them, and they may not be what you consider to be niche podcasting apps. Stop squeaking your chair, Mike. It's very annoying. You sound like Lurch from the Addams Family. Put some oil on it, man. They're not the usual Mac apps that you might think, oh, that's too niche for me. Just to give you an idea, we have Affinity Designer. We have, what do you call it? Asset management system going on. Very, very inexpensive system going on. We have audio editing. We have publishing. We have all sorts, literally. Text editors, Scrivener, Ulysses, you name it, we will be demoing it. There will be at least 11, maybe 12, maybe more. So, good evening, Paul. Good to have you with us. Oh, that sounds alarmingly warm. It's absolutely persisting it down here. It's been cold, wet and miserable today, so you are by far in the best place, Paul. Think Basingstoke on a bad day. That's been Manchester today. But never mind, we're about to brighten up everybody's life. What can I say? It's going to be fantastic. Now, it's 9 o'clock. So, whether you're in or whether you're not, we're about to get going. Can't say any better than that. Oh, no, that's not good, because I'm broadcasting it, and so can Mike. Mike can hear me. Can you still hear me, Mike?
I can hear you.
Right, so somebody needs to tell Paul to check things. I'll give Paul a couple of seconds to sort himself out. If anybody else is viewing and can't hear, then there's no point me saying, can you let us know? Refresh the page. That's a good start for Paul, isn't it? Refresh the page. That's a good start. He's probably got his speakers turned off, which I've done myself. I have done that myself. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is get my slides live. You shouldn't see too much of a difference, but you will see a quick flicker. Can't say fairer than that. As I switch from sharing a poster to my desktop. So my pale blue, very boring desktop will come into view for a second before I replace it with Keynote. So you should now be seeing the same poster, which is After Hours, number 11, 26th of January. That's today. Good evening, Graham. Good to have you with us. You've missed the bit where I'm telling you it's something very special And if you're a MacBites person, if you're subscribed to the MacBites podcast, you've got a head start. I'm saying no more. Now, we've spent the best part of what on this? About 7 hours today, making sure that it's all going to work swimmingly. But it's an after hours. So if it doesn't all work swimmingly, I would say shooters, but Mike's already done that. And if you don't know what that's about, you need to listen to MacBites. I think it'll be fine. What I'm about to show you is genuine. It's a genuine workflow. It's just not necessarily in the same order as we normally do it. So you know the old gag about it's all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order? It's that. But you will see absolutely everything. So let's get going. So tonight, as I've said, we have something special for you. Very, very, very special. We're going live. Now, I know what you're thinking. We know you know that, especially if you are with us live. But we mean more than that. The entire show tonight is dedicated to publishing a MacBites podcast live. So by the end of this MacBites After Hours, you will have a shiny new MacBites podcast ready for your listening pleasure. And what's better than that, hey? You can join in the demo. Now, I don't mean coming on and talking, because we did that once and it freaked people out. The thought of talking to me was just too much for you, apparently. So, you can join in the following 2 ways. And the chat, so there's lots of ways you can join in. But if you actually want to follow along in terms of what we publish, you can see it tonight, then this is what you need to do. You need to subscribe to the MacBites podcast. This is not difficult. If you know what you're doing, you'll need this address. That is the URL of the MacBites podcast. So it's macbites.co.uk/feeds/macbites.xml. Didn't used to be, but it is now. So it's really simple. I will give you a couple of seconds to have a look at that. Now, there are lots of ways you can subscribe to podcasts these days. But when we started, and we've been around a while, 2007, we're that old, pretty much everybody used to listen in iTunes or subscribe via iTunes. But now there's a lot of different podcatchers. So how you listen will change depending on the platform you're on, the device you're on, and the app you prefer to listen in. So if you're with us and you do subscribe, tell us what you listen in. How do you subscribe? Do you listen on the website? Do you subscribe through iTunes? Have you got an app on your iOS device? How do you listen? I know you've got Downcast, Mike. Downcast let me down this week, but that's a whole other story, but I fixed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I am going to show you, if you are the uninitiated, how to subscribe in iTunes. I thought we'd keep it simple. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe now live with me. You can always unsubscribe later, but hey, why would you? And you can follow along live. When the show's published, your feed will get updated and you'll be able to listen to the show, or at least know where that show came from, because you're going to see the lot tonight. All of it. If the wind's in the right direction. No confidence, woman. It is. It's all going to be fine. So, I am going to come out and I am going to go into iTunes. Hello, iTunes. Right, it's going to start off in the store. And luckily, I'm in the podcast section, which is fabulous. Really simple in here. You don't need any URLs or anything else. Good to know, Graham. I must admit, I do tend to subscribe to podcasts in iTunes, although I do also have Downcast, and I like that. I'm a little weird, as you all know, or you should know by now, in that sometimes I put work podcasts in another app. And, pleasure podcasts, as it were, MacBites, that kind of thing, in another app. And that way I can hive off work from pleasure. So that's one thing that I do. But I'm going to show you in iTunes. And what I'm going to do is just go up to the search up here. And you can see there's lots and lots of stuff in there that have already been searched for. But I shall put in MacBites and press enter. Now, bear in mind where I am. I'm in the store here. And these are all the MacBites episodes. So I'm going to click on this podcast at the bottom. And there is the MacBites homepage on iTunes. Couldn't be easier to subscribe. There is a subscribe button. All you need to do is click that. Are you sure you want to subscribe? Well, of course I do. It'd be a terrible demo if I don't, isn't it? So I'm going to subscribe. Right, I'm now subscribed. Doesn't look like anything happened, does it? but it did. To see that, I need to go into the library. Now you can see I've reset iTunes. It's now dog bothering me, as we call it at MacBites headquarters. It's asking me questions. It wants me to make a decision. Really? Please don't do that. Don't do that to me. Right. Do I want to automatically download new podcast episodes? I tend to leave that on. But I'm going to choose not to synchronise the podcasts in case I've got stuff on my iOS devices that's going to immediately download 5 gig here. But you may choose to leave that on. Oh, it doesn't want me to turn it off. No, you're accepting it this time, aren't you? So I'll continue. And here are the MacBites episodes. They are all coming in. Why are you downloading 113 and not 150? No, well, never mind. No, actually, you're not downloading anything, are you? That's unplayed. That's the feed. And what it's doing is I've got these cloud icons and I can actually download the show there. So the latest show was on Tuesday. Graham, as a veteran MacBiter, this should be quite exciting, shouldn't it? And rather unusual. 2 podcasts in a week. I'll just leave that there for you to have a think about. Yes, one on Tuesday, one on Saturday. So what I'll do is I will click that icon and it should start downloading. It's having a think about it. Oh, my poor machine's getting all giddy. Are you going to download? Or do I have to actually press play? Yay! It's playing. So it's downloading. Right. So that worked. Fantastic. So that's it. That's all there is to subscribing. That's the first step of you joining in the demo. So I'm going to close that right now. I am going to quit, even though it's warning me it's downloading stuff, because I don't care. So I've done that bit. There is now another bit. So let's get back in here. The second part of the demo that you can take part in. Good evening, Patrick. Good to have you with us. Just a quick recap if you are joining us a couple of minutes late. We are doing a very special show tonight. We are publishing a MacBite, soup to nuts. And we're at the stage where you're joining in. I've shown you how to subscribe in iTunes. I'm now going to show you how to subscribe to the MacBites mail. Because there will be one going out announcing the new show shortly. Apple servers may well crash, Graham. Their own fault. They should have built that thing in Ireland. Right. All you need to do to subscribe to the mail is to go to macbites.co.uk, which I'm going to do right now and show you how to subscribe to the mail. So let's come out of there. Let's go to Firefox. There we go. There's MacBites. The MacBites mail. Woo! On the right there. Put a name in. So I'll actually subscribe. It's Elaine from the crew. Now, I think I'm already subscribed because obviously I need to know when I publish a show. I might have forgotten. Right, so what I'm going to do is, let's see if it'll take this. I will put my genuine email address in, which is that. But I'm going to add in a plus sign and the crew. So that should allow me to subscribe because I'm definitely not subscribed with that email. So click subscribe. It has a rare old think about it. And it says success. You are subscribed. Way! Marvellous. We shall revisit this later when the mail's sent. But that is as simple as that. So macbites.co.uk. Use that box on the right-hand side and get subscribed now. And you will receive a mail. Now, when you get your mail, there's 2, isn't there, Mike? There's an initial mail that says, are you sure you want to subscribe to this podcast? It's called double opt-in. And the rationale for that is we wouldn't want somebody to come along here and for a joke put somebody else's email in it. So when you get that first mail, you need to confirm your subscription. And then we'll send you another one that says, thank you, you're subscribed. If you don't see it, check your spam folder. Once you've got that confirmation, you're good to go for the rest of the demo later. So that was the first step. All right. Let's hide that and get back in to our process. Right, so what's actually involved in publishing... Oh, hang on. What is actually involved in publishing a podcast? Well, I put the process down, didn't I, Mike? I thought, how difficult can this be? I'll put a few bullet points on a slide. It ended up being 3 slides. So panic not, I trimmed it down. These are very broad strokes. Very broad. And yet it sounds so simple. So we're going to, when we look at like recording audio, for example, there'll be the recording of it and then we'll move into the editing of it. But the publishing and the mail thing, I think the publishing's the most, well, is that the most difficult, Mike? Or do you think the edit's more difficult?
The edit.
I think the Scrivener bit's the worst. But we'll see. We'll see. So that is about as simple as we could make it, to be honest, isn't it? But what we'll do is, first thing, we'll go in to managing the content. Now, we manage the content with a favourite here, managing the magic in Notion. So this is where we start. We do know what the show number is, but often at the beginning, we've no clue what we're talking about. So if you've been with us before, you will have seen this. But I'm going to show you the show we publish in about an hour and a bit. So let's go into that and have a look at it. So we need Notion. We need Chrome, because that's where my Notion is. And there is the show. Right, just to show you what we've got here. This is how we manage it. If you remember, we have a shows table. All our shows. There they are. This one is 116, so I'm going to open it. This is the meta for this show. So it's in progress at the moment. Oh, we'll be able to change that to publish later. Yay! And who's responsible for it? That's me. I'm usually responsible for stuff, aren't I, Mike? So if it all goes wrong, it's all my fault. I'm responsible for it. Then we have the content items, but that's just a list of them. We have a title. You're seeing the title. I've just realised, Mike, I'm going to have to do the show art as well, aren't I? Not a clue where I put that. Because the show art goes in here, and it's not there. So I need to... Where did I put that show art? I'll put that in later. No, because I tidied the desktop. See, this is the problem. When I tidy up, can't find a thing. Release date, today. It's going to be today. It's a long show. It's almost 2 hours for your listening pleasure. But it's light-hearted listening, isn't it? Yeah, it's an hour 53, 31 seconds. And I think you'll find the 31 seconds at the end are probably the best bit. I'm saying nothing more about that.
I'm not in it.
Neither am I. But Siri and Lady Siri are in it. They have a whole minute on this one. So when it's published, this is where it's going to be. And that's where the file is going to be, the actual audio file. Now, we then manage the content in this content table. But as you can see, there's only one content item. That's because it's a special show. It's the year in review. But I can actually show you that and show you there's quite a lot of content, as it has a rare old think about opening it. So all of January and February and March and so forth. There's a lot of work goes into this, isn't there? I hope you're going to be appreciative at the end of it. So that's all the content. Now, what I actually wanted to show you is that's not really a normal show. We usually have more than one chunk of content. So I'm going to show you an older show so you've got more idea what it really looks like. So the one we published on Tuesday was Captain Sensible's Happy Talk. So I'll open that and open it as a page so we can see the whole thing. You can see here that show's completed. Again, I was responsible. Do a lot of work here. These are all the items that were in it. There's the title. There's the artwork. You can click on that. There's the artwork. It was published on Tuesday. It was an hour 24:33. That's the show notes page. That's the actual file. And here are all the contents. Now, this one's actually fully completed. Oh, I can't tell you what it's like to see one of these fully completed. But what you see here is what the name that we give to the piece in the show. Who is responsible for it? Just look at all of those where it's me. Now, then we have this system going on for working out if something's complete. We give points to it for how much effort's required. So this bit here was El Capitan, and that took a lot of research. So it's 20 points. What we like to see is that the points complete to the left match up, which we can calculate at the bottom. So there was 100 points of effort required for that show. All of them were then added to Scrivener when they were ready. These bits are the sections of the show that they belong to. If you've never heard a show and you're wondering what Shopping with Elaine is, you're missing a treat, aren't you, Graham? We also like to see the status set to complete. Yay! And this links to the actual show, the information for the show. We also have, ooh, look at that, a publishing checklist where we can click it. And this is what's involved in publishing the show. And this is what I will be taking you through tonight. All of that. It's much more interesting than it looks there, honestly. So, let's get back to where we were, which was we were in the shows. And we were in 116. Take it full page. Because down here we have the checklist for publishing this show. And this one, nothing's ticked. Oh dear. Now, luckily I can actually tick a few bits of this, but we're not going to. We're going to use this and I will move it off the screen. So I've got it on the other screen and I'm going to use that to actually refer to and publish the show. So let's head back in and look at the first step. The first step in creating it's not the first step, is it? It's the first step in actually recording the thing, creating the audio, which is the show. But the actual true first step is going into Notion and making your mind up what you're going to talk about. Otherwise, you'd ramble. Bit like After Hours. You get the idea. So, creating the audio podcast. And the first step of that is Audio Hijack. Let me know in the chat if you've got Audio Hijack. Have you ever used it? Do you know what it is? I'm going to show it to you. So if you don't worry about it. I'm going to take you through it. For me, Audio Hijack is the most amazing app there is on a Mac. It was the first Mac app I bought. I bought it because I had something similar for which read incredibly primitive on Windows. I can't remember what that thing was called, but the interface had a picnic cloth on it. I shall challenge you, Mike, to go and find out what that app was called. But what this app on Windows let you do was record live streamed audio.
I remember.
I know you remember it, but you're not going to remember what it's called because I can't remember what it's called. But it allowed you to capture live streaming audio. It didn't do it very well, but it did do it. So when I moved to the Mac, I was looking for something to do that, and there it is. That was the one I bought. So let's go in and let's actually have a look at Audio Hijack. Now, I have to caveat this with the fact I'm using it right now. If you're wondering how I'm using it right now, here you go. Bring it in halfway. There you go. I'm using it right now. So I'm going to leave that one off the screen because we want that to carry on. If that stops, you're not going to hear me. But what I am going to do is open up the interface where I can open up my session definitions. And what all of these are, they allow me to record various sources of audio. So I could record something that's been broadcast in Firefox, or Chrome, or GoToMeeting, or my iMic, or Hindenburg, or anything. Now this one, which says 115, is what I would use to record a show. So the first thing I would do with that is change it to the correct show number. And then I would open it. So let's open it. And that is what it looks like. So this is a bit like a file open dialog. I can lose that now. And this is what it looks like when I record the show. If you have used an older version like Graham has, it's very different, this one. Very, very different. It takes a lot of getting used to, but I would say overall it's a lot more powerful. So what that looks like, I'll take you through the sections of it. The first one is the input. So generally speaking, that's set to microphone. At the minute, it's set to loopback pipe, but there's a reason for that. Then this block lets me record. So as soon as the audio hits Audio Hijack, it makes a recording. But I never use that recording. I would only use that recording in a dire emergency when the other two recordings at this end fail. Now, they never have up to now, so touch wood. Now I've said that, probably will. But the reason that I have 3 recording blocks, which is the first one, and these 2 over here on the right, is this work in the middle, which is those 5 blocks. These 5 blocks make my audio sound fabulous. Down at this end, it's quite quiet. So that's why I have these 5 blocks in. This block that's called volume would enable me to, without touching my microphone, increase the level that I'm recording. I could even do that mid-recording, which I will show to you. This one, this little block, just shows you this, which is your levels. And at the moment, it's not doing anything. But I'm going to leave that to the side because it will do when we start recording. So we'll leave that there. You can tear it off as you've seen and leave it to the side. But that is from that block, peak RMS. Then there's 2 recordings, and then it sends the volume, the audio, to the headphones. That's it. So it's not as complicated as it looks. And all I need to do to start recording my half of the audio is hit the record button at the bottom. When I do, what we're looking for is that the audio, these little links in the middle of each block, we want them to light up orange. That means it's getting audio. So I'll hit record, and every word I say now, you will see is getting recorded. You'll also see that's quite loud. Let me have a look at the other end. That's probably where the audio is coming from. But I'm going to do something here to demonstrate this. If I started whispering, it would be quite low. You're going to be quite low? You are quite low. I'm really whispering now. Which enables me to enable the overdrive. I can make the audio twice as loud, 3 times as loud, or heck, 4 times as loud. And even if I whisper, it goes into the red. So that's what that is all about. So I'm going to turn that off. That's not the best idea I've ever had. And that's how I record the show. Now, Mike does exactly the same on his machine in a different room. Then what we do, this is the file we're looking for, the AIFF file. I can click on that, it opens up this window, and what I'm looking for is a little magnifying glass that takes me to my recordings folder. And in my recordings folder, there are the 3 files I have just recorded. The one that says raw is coming from the block on the left-hand side. The other 2 are coming from these 2 blocks on the right-hand side. And the one I want to use is that one there, which is the AIFF. I will even show you here by opening this up with... go on, Amadeus, let's do it. That's what the audio looks like that I've just recorded. So it has recorded. That could be a show. It wasn't very exciting, but it could be a show. So that's the audio that I will get from it. I then need to move that into the correct folder and start work with it. But what also happens is I get Mike's files. So I have multiple files. So that is how we actually record it using Audio Hijack. So I'm going to close that bit down. So at this point, I've got my audio files. The next thing I need to do is actually edit my audio files. Now, I've been through them all when it comes to apps for editing audio. When we started MacBites in 2007, I used GarageBand. It was a bit limiting, to say the least. Used to stop recording after 40 minutes, do you remember? We used to have to record the show in episodes. Each episode became multiple episodes. So I moved to Soundtrack Pro, which was it was a helper app, a utility app that came with Final Cut Studio. Then that died a sad death, and I moved to Logic Pro. After that, Adobe Audition. But Hindenburg is by far the best. Now, having said it's by far the best, it is for the spoken word. Don't expect to sample drums in it. But for the spoken word, it's fabulous. It's just probably not well known, which is sad, because it is by far the best. So let's go in and actually have a look at the show that I'm not going to edit live. It's already edited, all right? But you need to see it, don't you? So I'm going to go into Hindenburg. That's an empty file, right? Don't want to be worried about that. That's an empty file. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to open 116. This is the real file. This is the show you're going to be able to listen to in about an hour and 20 minutes. This is it. So what happens is, at the top, we have tracks down the side. At the top, we have the branding. And the branding is the opening titles and the credits right across the other end of the file. Ooh, right. There you go. There's the credits at the end. Right, going back down, we then have overlays. Now, overlays are where I put music in. Graham will know all about this. Overlays is where the Goombay Dance Band live. And then we have sound effects, SFX. They go in there. Can't remember. Did we have any sound effects in this one? I think we did, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
Oh, we did.
Did we?
We did when you said a rude word.
Was that in this one or the last show? That was in the last show.
Was that in the last show?
Yeah, it was in the last show. That.
This is what.
No. We did.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, we had to. Maybe I said
that's me heavy breathing.
No, maybe I said a rude word in this one. No. That looks like a dun dun dun. No, it's Yanni and Laurel.
Two shows too close together. I can't remember which the rude word.
I know it's scary, isn't it? Graham will know. Did I bleep something out in the last show, Graham? In 115, did I bleep something out? Graham's a professional listener. Graham is the font of all knowledge on all things MacBites, because we can't remember a thing, Graham. So that's where it goes. The special sound effects go. Then there's me. So this is all my audio. And then there's Mike. That's all his audio. Then there's Siri and Lady Siri. If you've never heard a show, you need to hear a show. So let me take you across there and show you. Ooh, scooting to the end of the show. Oh, look, Siri and Lady Siri. There's the Siri and Lady Siri pieces. And the last thing in there is interviews, which we hardly ever use. But it's there just in case we do. So I've already edited that show, but I've not finished it because there are sections to the show. Usually those sections are chat bites, back bites, etc. But this show's rather different. We have the welcome, and then we have a chapter marker for each month of the review. Graham says he did, but he can't remember where it was. It was to do with an Apple mess up, Graham.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they messed up this time, but they messed something up.
Everything.
Well, everything, yes, apart from that. So what I am going to do here, this show at the moment doesn't exist. I need to add artwork to it. So while I leave that alone, let's get rid of that. Let's talk about artwork and where that comes from. Now, podcast artwork is generally done. So I don't do this on a weekly basis, but when I need to create extra artwork, which I do right now, I create podcast artwork in Affinity Designer. And I think you've had a sneak peek of this file before, but you're going to see a lot more of it now. Right, so what we need to do is to actually go into Affinity Designer, and we'll go into the beta. And I'm looking for my chapter markers file because I need to basically create another 12 chapter markers. So I do have a chapter markers file. This is the real thing. This is the real thing. I have the artwork at the beginning, the show art. Then I have a whole raft of chapter markers for each bit of the show. There's lots of them. We have lots of bits of the show. All right, so zoom out again. I then have the credits, which there are 4 at the end. And then when the series take over, we have that one, which is credits presenters for the series. Now, what I need to do in this file is to create a whole range of new chapter markers. This means, if you're following along, follow the logic here. We've done a review of the year for 2018, but if we create some artwork, we might do one for 2019.
We might.
Talk about organised, it's scary.
If they're good.
If they're good. If the MacBiters are good, we will. So this is how I go about doing this. The artwork in here, these artboards are 1440 pixels by 1440 pixels, and we can see that down in the bottom right hand corner. So I need a new artboard. That lets me segment my artwork. So obviously this is way too big, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to drop it. There's an artboard. Because what I can do in here now is actually go in and type 1440 by 1440, and there's my artboard. Now, it needs to be in the right place in terms of it should snap. It should very nicely snap. And it should be 200 pixels down from that one. Oh, you're being very awkward, aren't you? Let's take that down. There you go. It's 200 pixels from that one. Now, artboard 1, not helpful. Not helpful at all. Let's fold these up. We don't want to see all of these. Good grief. So where have you gone? Artboard 1. That's not the best place to put it, but it'll do. Right, it's going to be a chapter marker. So CM underscore, and it's going to be January. Right. I'm pondering if it should be 01 January now. If I want to sort these, yes, oh yes, I'm getting very clever now. So let's put 01 January, and I don't want a capital J. It's all lowercase. Behave yourself. Right, so that doesn't actually look right. I think I need to put another underscore in. I'm getting anal now. That's better. I can read it now. Okay, so I've got my artboard. I now need to create the background for this. Now, we discussed symbols. If you look at these, they're all the same. They all have a background, the waves, and a black background. And if I change it, I want to change it on all of them. We looked at that last week. So here's my background that I can drag and drop on there and get it bang in the middle. That is not bang in the middle, it's at 10, so I'll put 0. Now it's bang in the middle. Now all I need to do is to create the text on it for January. And as luck would have it, I have one up here, Focus, which has the correct font and the correct position. So I'm going to go down to there and paste. Now I'm going to make sure that that text is right aligned, because obviously the months of the year, different lengths. So I'm going across here at the top, right align the text. It already is. And then all I need to do is to come in here and type January. Simple as that. Now I could go through that exact same process 12 times and you'd probably drop off your twigs. So an easier way to do it, and duplicate that one. And hopefully that will, well, you're going to snap. I'm telling them you're going to snap and then you don't snap. You're very naughty. Right, it's 200 pixels. And then all I need to do with this one, you are ahead of me, aren't you? February. And I need to change the name of it from January to February. But I need to change that 01 to 02. February. And you're capitalising the F. Be a long night changing all this, won't it? Right, so what I need to do now is just literally quickly go through and keep doing that. Keep doing it. So March, I'll duplicate them all first. That one's going to be April, that one's going to be May. Now, like I said, obviously I'm doing this now as a demonstration so you can see what's involved. But I don't tend to do this on a weekly basis. Weekly if the podcast was weekly. You get the idea. I don't do it every time we do a show. The only time I need to go into here is when we need new artwork, which obviously for this review of the year we need because we've never done one before. Where am I up to now? How many have I got? 2, 4, 6, 8. I need another 4. Shall I just grab the last 4 and try and get clever? Oh, this could all go wrong. No, you're not selecting now. You are very, very... No, you're not even doing that, are you? Swine, swine, swine. Right, let's just do the extra 4. Come on, snap correctly. I have no idea where you're putting yourself now. It should snap, but bear in mind I am actually using the beta. So it could get itself very excited, so I'll just eyeball it. There's another one, so we need 2 more. Then all I need to do is go through, name them correctly, change the text, which will be very, very boring. But it will only take seconds. Right, there they all are. So 2 things I need to do. We've got January, we've got February. Obviously, I need to go into there and I need to put March. And while I'm selected on the correct thing over here, I will change that at the same time. It's easier to do it then. Ah, you see that one didn't capitalise because March is a word. Right, into this one here. And that's April. I see April could be a name as well. It's going to do it for this one. I know it is. Right, let's get that back. That is month 4 underscore April. And it's capitalised. I can't have it capitalised. You'll understand why when we move on to where I'm using these things. So let's get into here. Let's get into there. May. I'll just whip through these and then go back and name them all at once. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That's the way I would actually do it. But you have to think about when you're doing that. No, not July. I should have put the light on so I can see the keyboard, Mike.
The light.
Might be an idea so I can see what I'm doing. August, September, and October. Oh, let there be light.
You like working in the dark?
I do tend to work in the dark, I'll grant you, I do. But I do tend to have a light on over my keyboard, which I don't have at the moment. And December. Right, okay. So what have we selected now? Now, see, the problem here is these are all called the same thing. They're all called February, and I can't tell which one's which. So the way I would do it, because they're all named the same, is I go back to the first one that's not named correctly, which is that one, and it selects it for me in the layers panel. So pro tip there. Don't worry about finding it. You will find it. Underscore May. Right, next one. June. It's going to capitalise June. I know it is, just to annoy me. 6 underscore June. There you go. Autocorrect's fabulous, except when you want it to leave it alone. It doesn't want to play ball. Okay, only 6 more to go. We can do this, guys. We can. It'll be fabulous when you see it done. So, 7 July. Wonder if I could cheat and do that. No! Oh! What I thought was if I left the Y at the end, I might fool it, but it's not having it. Right, August. We're nearly there. Now, who wants to put in the chat what I'm going to do when I finish this? What's my next step with this? Come on, you know, you've been here often enough. Must have spelt August wrong, it didn't capitalise it. No, it's right, I wonder why not. What's the next step? It's something I demonstrated a couple of shows back. That one's 09, September. That would have fooled it if I'd have left that T in, wouldn't it? Determined to fool the thing. You're not telling me in the chat. Come on, come on. If you're still awake, let us know. Right, September, October. Almost there. Because they're no good in here, are they? They've got to come out of here. And for them to come out of here, I need to export them. So what persona do I need to go into? There's something for you to have a think about. And what do I need to do when I get into said persona? Oh, I know you know. If you didn't know, Mike, we would have a problem. Not that I bet you've never ventured in there yourself, you know. Am I right?
Well, into Affinity Designer now.
You never even ventured into Affinity Designer, much less the persona. Right, we're there. We're there. I just need to pop the one at the beginning, change that D, and we're done.
I did get told I had to buy it.
You did get told you had to buy it, and yes, I know it caused a domestic. Right, there are the new chapter markers for the months. So, at this point, I saved the file. Don't know if you noticed that. I saved the file. I would, in here, take the time and get this lot in the right order. I think they're not bad. It's just they're backwards. They're starting at 1 and going up to 12. I will go into the export persona. The export persona is where I can export these into a usable file format. So I need to see what file format it's sending them out in. And at the moment, they are PNGs. And actually, that will do me. Issue I have is that I don't really want to export the rest of them because there's hundreds of them. And if I click export, it's going to export the entire thing. So here's what you can do to stop that. Select all of them and click the tick in any one of them, and they're all deselected. Now nothing's going to get exported. But if I click on December, scroll down, click Shift-click January, like that, and put a tick in the box, it's going to export 12 slices. That's what I want. So let's export those 12 slices straight to the desktop. But I'm going to put them in a folder called chapter markers. Otherwise, the desktop's going to go crazy tonight with this demonstration we're doing. Right, it's exporting them. There's only 12 of them. Shouldn't take all day. Not liking the look of that myself. Seems like it's going to do a whole lot more than that. But we'll find out when it's finished. Let's minimise that. There's the chapter markers. There they all are. So let's have a look at them. Hopefully I have spelt everything right. Now's not a good time to find out I haven't. Look at that, Mike. It's a miracle. Okay, so there's my chapter markers. They are in the folder on my desktop. Right, next step. We need to manage these somehow. Because while it's all right to leave them where they are and drag and drop them in the file, you'll lose them. It'll get messy. They won't be alphabetical. You can't see them. Okay? So to manage the artwork, and I actually manage a lot more than that with it, I use an app called Pixave. Let's go in and have a look at Pixave, which I think I've demonstrated before.
I was just going to say.
No, I've demonstrated it. I have. Right, well, this is my Pixave database, and it synchronises across my Macs, and there's a version for iOS. No argument with Pixave, it's fabulous. And this is what I've done with it. And the reason that I use Pixave is look at these chapter markers. Welcome, MacBites, ChatBites. Well, B and C are alphabetical, but that welcome at the beginning. The brilliant thing with Pixave is I can drag and drop them in the order I'm likely to use them. So these are all the chapter markers that we use. There they all are. The show art and credits is here. So there's show art and 4 credits. So what I need to do in MacBites is build in a new collection. And these ones are going to be review of the year months. And you know where they are. They're on my desktop. So we'll shrink that down a bit so we can get to them. And we will load them in. Now, because I've named these with a 0, 1, right through to 12 in there. The reason I did that was so they're in the right order in the Finder. But in here, it wouldn't actually have made any difference. So I'm dragging and dropping them in. I can put them in any order I like. Now, you'll notice the default in there is pretty small by comparison to how I have the chapter markers. That's all controllable with the slider down here. So I could have them in 3s and scroll a bit like that. And there we go. Let's take the 3s up to as far as they can go just before they snap into 2s. Right, there is my artwork. Right. Now, at this point, I'm frantically thinking about what the next thing is, but it's all right. It's all right. What I'm going to do here, shrink this down a bit, because at the moment they're in here, but they're not in Hindenburg, are they? Which, if you recall, is where the show is. So let's move Hindenburg so we can see the artwork. They need to go in there. So this is what I actually do. I go to my chapter markers and I find the welcome. There it is. And I drag and drop it over to the chapter. Now I need the months of the year. So there's my January. Mike's piqued his interest at this point. He's come over to have a look. Just like the dog used to. Can you smell sausages at all, Mike? Right, so I'm adding them in. There's just 12 of those to add in, but I do have others. I'm
being sociable.
You're being sociable. You're chatting away. Everybody's very quiet. You're very quiet.
Oh, I just changed my screen resolution.
Did you?
For my demo late.
Oh, I'd forgotten your demo later. You're quite right. Right, and...
I forgot I was doing it.
No. It'll all be in the running order. It'll be fine. She said... Right, November, December, yay! Right, this point, need to switch back to the standard ones because the next thing I talk about is an after hours, and we have artwork for after hours. Then we have a wrap up. There's the wrap up one, and then we have the credits. So I'll switch to those. And the first credit is there, the presenters. Next one's me, Dog's Body, do pretty much all of it. There's Mike doing his webmaster bit, which is basically consists of Mike. WordPress isn't working, fix it. And then we've got our copyright at the end, 2007 to 2019. We now have all the artwork in the file. Save. Do you know what I can't remember?
No.
Am I exporting it at this point?
Yes.
I think I am. Right, so in here, no good in here, is it? Needs to be exported. It doesn't take long to export it, thankfully, even though it's 2 hours. You just go to File, Export, and Bounces, which is where we store it. But I'm going to put this on the desktop so we can see it. So I will stick it on the desktop. First of all, we would export it as an M4A. And it's 116, so that's fine. Export. So off it toddles and exports itself. It usually takes less than a minute. Now, I need to export it a second time because we have 2 feeds. And we have the M4A feed and the MP3 feed. So I will need to export that twice. But like I say, it won't take long. It'll be a 2-minute job. So if you've got any questions at this stage, do type them in. If you need to see any of the links again, just let us know. Mike will sort you out, won't you? Yeah, good. Then we actually are going to move on to what you see. Now, I think the next bit that I do is the most complicated. The most magic. I like that, Mike. The most magic. This is because the bit we're coming on to is all of the supporting things, because very easy if you're just listening to a podcast, and I'm assuming quite a few of you do listen to podcasts. If you're just listening to a podcast, it's easy to think the only thing you need to create is the audio file. Would that were the case. There's a lot of supporting material that's needed. So I'm wondering if I can actually just set this going and then leave it be. So if I let it finish this one and then do that one and then go in, what do you reckon? So I can explain something else while I'm talking about it. But everything that you're about to see, after this is exported, I'll get the MP3 going and I'll go back in and talk about what we do next. But everything you're about to see, we used to have to do by hand. How did we ever get the show out? This explains our scheduling. All the steps that are involved, this explains our scheduling. But now we've automated it, we've got no excuse. So as I said, I think this is going to take just under the 2-minute mark. Don't make a liar out of me, Hindenburg. But as I say, it's also a very long show. Shows are usually around 1:20 to 1:30, but this one went long, didn't it? We had such fun. Yeah, I mean, it's coming up to midnight. What else would we do? Oh, come on, there you go. Look at that. 1:56. I wasn't far off. So that file's dealt with. I then go back in and do another export. And this time, in the file at the bottom, I choose MP3. If you're wondering about the options, that's to do with quality and sound levels. LUFS are sound levels, and -16 LUFS is the correct sound level for a podcast. So it's all sorted. All I need to do is save that to the desktop. Now you carry on. Oh, look at the speed of that. Isn't that typical? It does the MP3 way, way faster. But I could leave that there and we'll go into this. Let's have a look if we can do that. Fantastic. So the next step is what you see, what you guys see when we publish a show. And that is making magic with Scrivener. And as I've said, without Scrivener, the entire process you're about to see would be manual and a living nightmare, which is how I would describe it. But it's taken us quite a while to get here. This is clever. This is magic beans, this. We have 2 Scrivener files on the left of your screen. The top one is where we manage the mail, and the lower one is where we manage MacBites. Those 2 Scrivener files compile to 3 other files on the right-hand side. First of all, the first file, which is our email generator, generates an email. And it generates the complete thing. Nothing else needs to happen. I press a button in Scrivener, we have an email. That was magic, wasn't it? How I created that is just magic. It all needed to be hand-coded, but once it's done, you just reuse it. The next thing we create is from the MacBites file, which is the lower one. We create a markdown file that we use for the show notes blog post that you see on macbites.co.uk. And the third file we create is a text file that goes into the show notes for the feed. So when you subscribe to it, you subscribe to a feed, and that has text-based information in it. So the first demonstration is going to be compiling an email from Scrivener. So let's go in and have a look at that. Oh, and would you look at that? That one took longer. It was probably that, it probably got upset when I ran Keynote. But hopefully that'll sort itself out. So we'll give it a couple of seconds and then we'll actually go into Scrivener. So have I got Scrivener running? I usually have Scrivener running pretty much all the time. Oh, good, it's done. Right, so that's exported and I can now close Hindenburg. Hindenburg's done its stuff, and so has Pixave done its stuff. So these are our files that are exported. We will come back to those shortly. Right, Scrivener. And I need my email generator file, don't I, if I'm doing the email first, which is there when I open it. Here is my email file. Right, now, I am doing this, aren't I? At the minute, I'm compiling my email. Right, what we have in here, I'll show you the whole thing. I have an inbox, I have admin, I have multiple emails that I create in here, but we're concentrating on the MacBites one. Within there, I have admin, I have promotions, I have offers, I have all sorts, but mails is where it's at. The ones that are green are the ones we've sent. So you should have received that one just before we went live. I know it doesn't look exactly the same as the one you got, but that's the magic of Scrivener. It can look like something else when it's exported. The one that went out on Tuesday is that one. That's what it looks like in here. And the one that we're sending out tonight is this one, which at the moment is in upcoming mails. So what I would tend to do is pull that out into mails that are going. Or you're going to pull out. There we go. So I can close up the upcomings. This one's about to go, which means I can put today's date on it and it will go. Now, what I do need, everything's written and you're probably reading it right now. That's what's going to go out. But I need the show art. You'll see show art, no show art. So I need to go and find that show art, don't I, Mike? Which I swear to God was in here. There, no, that's the one. Review of the year. There it is. That's the show art for this show. So I need to export that. I'll sling it on the desktop, she said. Right, but we won't put it in chapter markers. No, 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 no. We'll be really organised and we'll put it in there and call it show art. Was show art one word or two? Oh, it's one. According to that, show art for 116. There it is, and let's export the lot. Fantastic. So lose Affinity Designer. So somewhere on the desktop is the show art I need to put in here. And do you know what I'm frantically thinking now, Mike? What size should it be? Not a problem. I can check that. I think I have that there. No, it doesn't say. I've got templates. Oh, no. Oh, I think it was 600 by something. I'm going to go with it being 600 by something. So let me open the show art.
It's the one that goes in the evening.
It is. I think it's that one there. No, it's that one there. Which is 600 by 337. So what I do with it, I take it from there and I put it there where my little placeholder is. So Mike's going to check that I am actually right with that. I hope I'm right with that. But I'll stick that there. And that's all I need to do with that email. Everything goes in here. There's nothing else to add to that. I write the mail, that's it. The next thing I need to do is to compile it. If you've never used Scrivener, it's jolly good. Right, if you never use Scrivener, it's like export, only they call it compile. So I use the magic key, which is Command, Option and E, and I choose a format to export it to. And each of the mails I make has their own format, but I'm going to use the MacBites mail format, and I need to export it to plain text. And then all I need to do is hit compile. And it points to the desktop, and I'm going to make a note there that that is the email. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to be putting multiple files there tonight, and I need to be absolutely certain which is which because it gets complicated. Now, I don't need to open this in anything else, but I've got this option at the bottom ticked so you can see exactly what it has exported. So I'm exporting, that's done. It opens up in BB Edit, and you can see all that has come from Scrivener. Let me just remind you about doing it by hand. Look at it. Look how many lines are involved. We haven't even got onto the content yet. That's just the stuff to make it look right. 250, 300. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Eventually we come to the content. I do say eventually. Oh, look, content. Hello, MacBiters. On line 480. Trust me, don't want to be doing that by hand. That's why we do it this way. Actually, the content, as you can see, is only about 80 lines. The rest, in fact, it's not even that, is it? It's 475 to 490. So the 25 lines of content, and in the entire file, 552 lines. So that is what I don't have to create by hand anymore. You see why I love Scrivener. I absolutely adore Scrivener. Now, what I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to lose that, and we're going to come back to that later. But this email generator, we're done with it now. So what I do in the bit on the right-hand side is this mail. I'm going to say it's been sent. It's not at the moment, but I might as well. And it's not to do anymore. It's done. And that's me done in that file. Close that file down. It backs it up when I've finished. I don't even have to worry about that. So we've got a mail. We're virtually ready to go with it, but not quite. I'm going to come on to that shortly. But that's why I'm putting all the files I'm creating on the desktop in the right order so you can see what's involved. Whose mind have we blown with this? Oh, hello, Kevin. Good to have you with us. We're publishing a MacBites, Kevin. And we're up to the mail. We're up to the mail. But I'm going to hop back in to our running order. Right. Next thing. Show notes. The show notes also come from Scrivener. Remember the diagram we had? Let's go in and have a look at those. Right. Different Scrivener file. This time, Scrivener, MacBites. And this is it. This is the MacBites file for the show that is 116. Now, just to show you what you've actually got here. We have in this file all of the MacBites. There you go. That's a trash. We don't need to worry about that. Right. We have all of our MacBite shows. We have a style guide, an inbox, MacBites. All of our stuff is in there. And we have 116. So everything in here is 116. What you're seeing on the right-hand side is an outline of the content. But if I show you on the left the actual content, there's January and February and March. There you go. Now, why this is important and why it's in Scrivener, let's go back to January, is not particularly the bit you're seeing here, all of this. That's what we record the show from. I export this to a PDF, and that's what we record the show from, all those bullet points. That's not the power of this. The power of this is the notes section on the right-hand side. The notes section creates the blog post. It also creates the show notes that are embedded in the file. In fact, it does the lot. Can I just remind you about doing this by hand a while back? Which explains our schedule. But now it all happens automatically. So each one of these months has content over there. And it's the content in the notes that's going to be output here. So each one starts with the month. There's May and there's June. And that is what is going to be output. So we need to output it. Now, at the moment, what am I compiling here? I'm doing show notes. What I'm doing on the left-hand side of my screen is show notes. And you know what, you remember, Mike, I said to you, this is going to get confusing. It's going to get confusing. Right, I'm going to do the show notes in two different ways. Show notes, right. I will do the ones that are going to be embedded in the file first. And how I do that, you need to select on the left-hand side within the show. So this is just like an outline of the show content. You select everything from the welcome node right down to the wrap-up node. Everything. You unfurl everything and you select the lot. I'm just wondering about this. Feeder. Why would that be there? Shows page. You should be in the blog post. I'm wondering if these instructions are actually right, Mike. But we'll soon find out. We'll soon find out. Because into Ulysses, I thought I took something out here, Mike. And I'm right. I'm not reading my own instructions. I knew I had to take something out. I have to take out that shows page. That is only used in certain circumstances, and it's not this one. So remember, select, welcome, to wrap up, take out, shows page. What's left that's selected? I'm sure it said that. Oh, it does. It says excluded. Oh, woman, read it. Right. Once I've got it selected, all I need to do is do another export. Or compile, as it calls it. And I have three options to choose from, but the one in the middle is a work in progress. So I either want the recording notes or I want the show notes. And in this case, I want the show notes, the bit you guys see. So I choose show notes, and from the compile for at the top, I choose markdown to web page. There are lots of options in there, but this one will produce what I actually want. And then I export it or compile it. So these are the show notes. So I'm thinking I will leave them called show notes, and I'm going to open them in BBEdit so you can see them. That's the show notes. So let's hide Scrivener. These are the show notes. But there's a problem with them. They've got all this rubbish at the top and various other rubbish because they're going to be, let's zoom all the way down, another 600 and odd lines that I don't want the rubbish in. I also need these in 2 different formats. And I don't want to have to export them multiple times. Okay. Now I do here need to see the thing at the side. Oh, hopefully it'll just work. She said hopefully it'll just work. Fantastic. Right, what I'm going to do with this, I've got a script that I run on it. And what we want to see is that this lot, for a start, disappears. Basically, the script is something I've written that will process the show notes, as the name implies, and it makes everything I need. So let's take that full screen. That was what we started with, and notice the rubbish at the top, it's disappeared. And another file's appeared. Whoa, that looks different. This one is in Markdown. I didn't need to worry about that. Actually, it's not Markdown, it's text. So I have HTML format and I have a text format that magically created itself from the script. Now, what I'm going to do at that point is leave that alone. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to come back to that later. And this was what I was saying to you about the process is in a slightly different order so you can follow along. Normally, I do magic with it, more magic at this point. But just accept it's there on the desktop in the whole list of files that we need, and I'm going to come back to it. But next, I'm going to show compiling a blog post, because that's the next bit we need. If you go to the MacBites website, there'll be a blog post, and it'll have the show art in it, it'll have the show notes in it, it'll have an audio file in it. All of that used to be done by hand. Not any longer. It's done from Scrivener. So let's go and have a look at that. Back in to Scrivener. Now, this time I'm creating content for another app because the one thing Scrivener can't do, I cannot from Scrivener press a button and have it published to a website. Scrivener doesn't do that. It doesn't compile to a website either. It can compile HTML, but then I've got to copy and paste and add the show art and add the links and add the audio file. And I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is select everything apart from the Siri sketch. So that is everything up to wrap up. Then I'm going to do a compile again. And I do want the show notes because when I say show notes in here, it was all of the content in the right-hand side in those notes. But this time I don't want it as a web page. This time I need it set to plain text, which is somewhere in the middle there. Now what I need to do with this is then save it. So I'm going to compile it, that exports it, and I'm actually going to name this so you can follow along properly, right? MacBites show notes 116. And this is actually the blog post for Ulysses. Don't know if you can hear the police screeching past. They must have heard there's new MacBites and they must be rushing.
Fire brigade.
Oh, it was a fire brigade. Right, so same principle. I'm just calling this so you can follow along with what it actually is. And I am going to open it in BBEdit so you can see it. So export that, and I have that you can see there. That is pure Markdown. But if you look at it carefully, there's lines in it that are pure WordPress. So that's WordPress. The rest of it pretty much is Markdown. So how many lines of that have we got? Did I mention doing this by hand? 357. Right, that's what we've got. Now, what I'm going to do, Command and A, and copy it. And because I think the next step, I'm going to need that. So I've copied it and I've closed it. And I can hide Scrivener, because we're moving on to the next step. creating the blog post in Ulysses. Now, you might be wondering, oh, woman, you're going from app to app to app. I know. Believe me, we've looked at this, and this is the fastest way to do it, the easiest way to do it. Ulysses does let you publish to a website. So I've exported, I've compiled from Scrivener, and then I take it into Ulysses. So let's go in, do the Ulysses bit. Let's open Ulysses. Oh, handily, right place. What I've got in Ulysses, it's just a plain text editor. I have a MacBites node. I have content, and this is all of the content in here for MacBites. I also have work in progress, in which I have 117, and I have this that I use as a template. Then I have 3 nodes that are saved searches. And those saved searches allow me to filter the content for just show notes of previous shows, after hours shows, or MacBites lives. But at the moment, I need to duplicate that one to make one for this show, which is 116. So remember, I copied it, didn't I? I copied it from BB Edit that gave me a preview. And I'm going to paste it in. And hopefully... Oh, no, I'm not. I'm naughty. Always do that. I'm going to paste it in, but I'm going to use a special paste. Paste from Markdown. Because if you remember, I exported it as Markdown. So I'm going to paste it in from Markdown. And now I have perfectly formatted show notes that all I need to do to publish is press a button. Oh, you've got to love this, haven't you? There you go. Having said that, I do need to do some jiggery pokery at this stage. One thing I need to do is I need that at the very, very top. So I need to go up there. I need to change that to 116. And this little block here, it doesn't seem to come through properly. That bit has. The reason it's on a different background colour is that's code and it's going to post it as code. But this bit doesn't come in properly. So I have a little bit of magic to work. I'm in a template. I have a note over there. And all I need to do is cut that, come over here and paste it instead of that. And then change the XX to 16. And now I have a proper little bit of code and I can work with that. Right, I need to put in here the show title, which was from memory, Mike. Shooting Through. You'll like that one. Shooting Through 2018.
I wonder where that came from.
I know exactly where that came from, Mike.
B2.
Right, now, I've got almost everything I need at this point. Almost, apart from one thing. And we don't want to do any of this manually. No, we want to use our apps to the absolute maximum of their potential. And we're going to do that. We are going to go and look at all our folders. Oh, show art. The show art that gets uploaded is 795 by 500, which is that one. Let's be sure. 795, 500. Drag, drop. That is now ready to publish. It's as simple as that. I only had 3 things to do. Add the artwork, put the title in, paste that bit in there. That was it. Now, obviously, I can't publish it at this second. That's so annoying because we haven't uploaded the show and the show's not there and people will be getting notifications and it's not there. But this one is show notes, so it should appear in my show notes query, and it does. There it is. And I will drag that to the top. Can I drag that to the top, or is this in some kind of order? Oh, you're fixed. You should drag to the top. Let me drag you to the top. Oh, well, don't then. I'll deal with you later. Right, so that one is actually ready to go. But if I look in the after hours, oh, look at that. And after hours next week, Friday night. Go and have a look on the website. It's not there. Let's actually go and have a look on the website. It's not there. On our after hours page, here's our after hours. And the last one is tonight's, 11. No 12, anywhere to be seen. Hold that thought. Let's just do it. So this is how easy it is to publish a blog post from here. I click the button up there, which is export, publish. I'm publishing to the MacBites podcast. Publish. That's the title of it. Straight away, make it live. Put it in the category of After Hours. Tagged as MacBites. Doesn't really need to be tagged as MacBites, but we'll worry about that later. The excerpt for the post is coming from this note over here. And the featured image is coming from the featured image over there. The slug of the post is coming from the title. I don't even need to glance at that twice. I know it's right. I'll just hit publish. That's me done. If you now go to the MacBites website, that will be alive when this says it's finished. So I'm going to let it chug away with its little self, and when it tells me it's finished, it's going to open it for me. Prove me right. There you go. It's alive. We want to be sure of that at this end. Let's refresh that page, and it should come through as 12. There we go. And it looks pretty similar to this over here. Fantastic, isn't it? So that job's done. Oh, that was a little bit of extra there. So we're in the show notes, and that's the one we're looking to publish. We're just not doing it right at this second. So I'm going to close that down. Right, now we can actually get on to the good bits. The exciting bits. What's coming next? Mail management in Notion. We love Notion. Notion powers the show. We wouldn't be able to do the After Hours, which we've been doing now for 11 weeks. It's amazing. We wouldn't be able to do it without Notion. We absolutely adore Notion. If you've never tried Notion, you need to try Notion. I'm going to show you Notion, and I'm going to show you how we work with the email. So let's go in and do that. I need Notion. We've seen Notion in Chrome. Where's Chrome gone? Oh, Chrome's on the other page, isn't it? Because I'm following my publishing process. Right, I need to look at the mail with this. So I'm going to my show. There's my show. No, I'm not. I'm not going to my show. I'm lying. I'm lying. Right, what I need to do is go to our mail system. We have a mail system here. Here's our mail system. Don't worry about this mail system. I'm going to talk about it next week. But for now, today is the 26th. We have a mail in here that says 116 released. Indeed, it will be very shortly. But Mike needs the text of the mail. There is the text of the mail. There is show art, and there is the text of the mail. So I am going to drag that into there, and Mike will pick it up shortly. Now it's left these shores, and it's not started, it's in process. In fact, it's ready to send. And that's me scheduled that, sorted, done. Magic, magic beans.
And I've got it.
And Mike's already got it. Now, next step, even more exciting than the last step. Oh, I hope you're following along and enjoying this. Right, next step is, well, let's go into it. We've done all that now. Oh, making it live at last. This is all the work that happens before we make it live. Right, I need to get the files off my desktop to somewhere you guys can see it. And I do that with CloudMounter, which is an app we have discussed before, which is amazing. And I am going to show you. So, CloudMounter. Very simple, actually. I'm just going to go into my Finder. That's my Google Drive, my very organised Google Drive. That's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is the drive here that says MacBites S3. MacBites S3 and OneDrive have a certain little icon next to them. That little icon is a CloudMounter icon. And what CloudMounter enables you to do is attach a cloud-based drive, mount a cloud-based drive on your machine as if it were a local drive. So if I click on MacBites S3, I have MacBites S3 permanently connected, which means, unlike when I used to have to log in via FTP and it failed 9 times out of 10, I'm connected permanently. I'm done. So, shows. Let's go in there. Look at that. There are all the MacBites shows, all the way back to 2007. And all I need to do, start at the top, we've used the chapter markers, the next ones down are the shows. Drag, drop. Now what that will do is upload them, but you'll notice here they've got little purple icons. The purple icons are actually clocks, and they're telling me, although it looks like at system level it's copied, it's copied it into the CloudMounter cache. And it's ready to upload it. So the little blue symbols are little tiny arrows, and they're telling me I'm uploading. I'm in the process of uploading. We'll come back and have a look at that in a minute. Because I need to upload another file while I'm here. It's also to S3. This time it's the newsletter assets. These are all the images we've ever used in the newsletter. And over here I have the mail. And in the mail there is the show art. I need to upload the show art. That one isn't going to take us long. We do get the purple clock. We'll get a flash of a blue synchronizing icon, which will disappear as soon as it's done it. And obviously that's a few K, 44K. So we can click on it, right click and make public. If I don't make that public, you won't see it. Let me show you that. Here's the mail. I can preview the mail. Oh, no show art. There's an error. There is indeed, because it's not public. But if I, through my file system using CloudMounter, make it public, give it a couple of seconds to pass that message up to S3 and apply it, and then preview the mail, boom, show art's there. And that's fabulous. That's all I need to do, that. Yep, that's fine. Right, so I've uploaded the files I need to upload. That's the plan. But remember these, I need to get these past the blue bit, because if I can't get them past the blue bit, I can't do the next bit, but I'm going to leave them doing that. I'll have to come back and make those public when they've finished playing around. Now, one's 111 meg and the other's 91. It shouldn't actually take too long, but it's doing that in the background. In the meanwhile, I can go and do the next bit. The next bit's publishing it with Feeder, which I can actually do at test level, can't I, Mike? Because I'm thinking about the order on here, and I'm hoping... should I have passed over to you yet?
No, not till the end.
Oh, good, good. I don't want to...
Till it's published.
True, I don't want to miss your bit out. Right, so we're actually going to publish it at this stage. Now, obviously, it's not going to fully work until I can prove it's there.
If you miss my bit out, you'll know about it.
If I miss your bit out, nothing will happen, will it? I'm still waiting for this to go public, so come on. Trot along. But what I can do is show you another app. Hey, you can never have too many apps. The next one I use is Feeder. Feeder is an app that lets you create and publish RSS feeds, and an RSS feed is what powers a podcast. We have two test feeds, one for the M4A and one for the MP3. So I always start off in the test feed for the M4A. And you'll see that it goes up to 115, which was the last show. My first job is to duplicate that item and open it up. And what I then do, I'm obviously working on a bit of a small resolution there, and I will lose that so we can see the thing behind. I'll leave you at the side because you should be chugging along. Right, what I do here. I've got to make changes. Obviously, it's not 115, it's 116. And I have to painstakingly go through this. I've not found a way to automate this. I need to work on that, don't I? Don't want it to be automatic, but I do want it to be today. So that's the 26th. And it's probably going to be about, what, 10:30, do you reckon? Should we go for 10:30? Right, now, how long was the show? I did tell you, Mike. It was an hour. Was it 53, 31?
53
something. Was it 31? Of course, I can always go back in Notion and have a swifty look. It was, oh, look at that for memory. My word. That's where that duration is. This is why it just works. Right, I need to change that from 115 to 116. Title of the show is, all together now, A Shooting Through... No, you don't spell through like that, woman. Shooting Through 2018. The show art can be left alone, but this bit here can't. This is the actual show. Look at the URL, macbites.co.uk.s3. blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, there is a number. That address is pointing to this that we uploaded it to. And look, it's finished. Fantastic. So we can make those public. Make the M4A public and right click and make the MP3 public. Bearing in mind, this is the test feed. So you could actually try and get it from there right now, but wait, because there's more to see. Right, so it's alive-ish. I need to go in here and change that 5 to a 6, And I need to do a strange little thing at this end. The length is calculated in some kind of weirdy epoch date, isn't it, Mike?
Yes.
It's a duration, and I don't think it's seconds. I hope it's not seconds. That'd be like 3 months. But what I need to do is to populate that number by pulling in the attributes from the web. So watch that number change. This was a much longer show, so the number's gone from 68 odd to 91 odd. Right, so we've done that. That's not bad at this stage. There's only 2 things left to do. One is to sort the description out, because that's the description of the old show. And the other is to change the summary, which is also a description of the old show. So, where am I going to get those from? I am going to get those from BBEdit. Remember the files that we had open and I said we'll revisit those later? Well, we're revisiting them. Here they are. This one is the HTML. So, Command and A, Command and C, Command and H to hide it. Into here, Command and A, delete the lot, Command and V. That was painless, wasn't it? Then, go to the summary. So, back to the top of that. Now, these are actually quite long show notes, as you can see. Much longer than usual. Go into the summary. Command and A and delete it. Let's bring BBEdit back. And on the other file there is the text version of it. Command and A, Command and C, Command and Q. Into there, Command and V. Now it's ready. That's it. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to save that. Oh, this got errors. Good grief. What's the matter? I've never, ever, ever seen... Oh, it's too long. All right, I'll cut the end off. I'm going to need to do something with this. Let me take it up to April and deal with it. It's too long. As I said, it's because it's a different kind of show. So let's go in there and do up to April. And I will sort this out properly later. Where are we at? What month are we at? Where's April? There's February. Let's take it down to April. And we'll take April away. There you go. That shouldn't be a problem. Are you going to let me save that? You are. That's lovely. I will truncate these later. I did say it was a little bit long, didn't I? But never mind. Right, so we've got that there. Now at this point, if I go back into Feeder, the only one of these feeds that's got the new show in it is this one with the little 1 next to it. And I can actually test it from there if I want to. I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants tonight. I will publish it, but I'm not subscribed anywhere to the test feed that we can actually test it and make sure it's actually working. But this is the process I go through. So that one's now published in the test feed.
I am if you want to.
Oh, you test it, Mike, and tell me if it's alive. What I do next is drag that into the test feed for the MP3. But I need to go in and edit it. I need to change the file that it's pulling in by changing 4A to P3. Then I need to grab the attributes of the file, which is huge there, and save that. And then I've got one podcast that needs updating, republishing on MP3. So, publish. And as long as Mike tells me that they're okay, I'm good.
It's downloading.
Oh, it's alive. Now, if you're subscribed, it won't actually be alive yet. To make it alive, I need to do one more thing with each one. There's 116. I need to drag it from the test feed to the real feed. Go to the MP3. Drag it from the test feed to the real feed. And publish it. So, what's my next bit? Publish that. And away it goes. Go to the MP3 and publish that. The excitement. I'm just thinking about that. I do. I now need to publish the blog post from Ulysses. If you remember, we left Ulysses in suspended animation with no blog post. That's the next step. Back into Ulysses. Very simple. You've seen me do it once. I published a different one. But here, I'm just going to publish that. And all I need to do is click the publish button, publish. It pulls through everything it needs to pull through. Got the right title, immediately show notes. There's the graphic. All I need to do is publish. Okay, now that seems fairly painless, doesn't it? Have a think about it. Where you go. Don't rush yourself. Come on, you can do it. And of course, when it's done, as you saw last time, it should open it in Firefox. Oh, of course, this one's a little bit longer, isn't it? Because the feed choked on it as well. But it should be there. There we go. It's alive. It's alive. If I go to the shows in here, it should be listed as the latest show. There you go. It's alive. You've actually seen it appear live. Right. On there you have. Next step, though. We think it's alive. The next thing we need to do is check for a pulse on the feed, for which we're going to go back into iTunes. Right, so we don't need that anymore. We can close that down. Let's go into iTunes, where I subscribed to the show earlier, and it was telling me the latest show was 115. I will refresh my podcast. It will have a think about it, and there is 116. It is indeed alive. Fantastic, eh? Is that enough? Is that enough? No! We need to let the MacBiters know it's alive. Not much point if we don't. Which is where Mike comes into play. He needs to send the MacBites mail, and he does that with Aweber. I don't get embroiled with any of that. So, what I will do is I will lose that, and I will let you watch as Mike sends the mail. If you are subscribed, get your email open. Are you ready to do it?
Yes.
Right, I'm going to get you on that screen. And you can talk me through it. Oh, hairy scary.
I could do it from over there.
Hairy scary. I think you should do it before there's a calamity.
From over there?
Do you want me to do it here? Or do you want to do it yourself here?
No, you do it. I'll talk through it.
Oh, no, it's
right,
a nightmare.
You do it. Give me some space.
Oh, get you! Squeaking chairs as we all shuffle around.
Just my 2 minutes of fame. Right, what I need to do is I need to go to our mail manager, which we talked about earlier. I need to go to the actual mail and download the actual HTML file which was created earlier. So we'll cover all this next week in detail, the mail manager, and just stick it on the desktop for the moment. Okay, so we can actually shut the mail manager down now. I then need to drag that into a text editor. Any text editor will do. I happen to be using Sublime because I need to get this now into our email sending system, which we use a service called Aweber. If you've heard of MailChimp, this is like MailChimp, but better. MailChimp on steroids. It does a lot more. It gives us lots of statistics.
Costs
more. MailChimp's free, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas this costs a few dollars, but well worth it. All right. So I will copy that. First of all, I'll select everything. I'll copy it. I can shut that down now because that's just the HTML. I need to bring back my web browser, which I've shut down.
Well, can't you just run it? Is it Chrome?
God, it's Chrome.
It's Chrome.
It's probably gone on my other screen.
Oh, brilliant, Mike. Gotta love a demo. Well, you see what happens when Mike gets involved.
Where's it gone?
I don't know where it's gone.
No, I had two windows open.
You've lost the will to live, you mean?
There it is.
Ah, fantastic. He's back.
Right. What I've done is I've set this up, started this earlier. So I created a new message. I've put in the subject to the message, and I'm going to click on the source button in this editor, delete out the default text that it gives us, and paste in the text there. Then I will click on source, and this shows us the message, the email. So this is the email that anyone who is currently subscribed will be receiving very, very shortly. So once we've done that, click save and exit. And we are ready to send it. So I will click send options. We're ready to send it?
Yeah. Click
schedule a broadcast and click send now. And a final send now, and it will be on its merry way to you. And there we go.
Right, so should be there. Oh, the excitement, the excitement. Right, if I bring back Firefox and I whip it over there and I go find my email, I'll put an iPad on where my mouse should be. Right, where's my mail? No, it doesn't always come in instantly, does it? Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes.
Surprise, surprise.
It's what?
Graham's downloaded it already.
Way, well done, Graham. Love it, Graham. Right. Oh, I'm not going to get it unless I confirm my subscription. Oh no, I didn't confirm my subscription, Mike. No, I'll get it in my normal feed, I think.
It's still sending, probably.
It might be enough. It might come through. I do have a mail that says welcome to MacBites. Wait, oh good grief. Look at that MacBites calendar. That's going to have to go, Mike. Oh, the age of that. My word. Right, I'm going back in and I'm waiting for this mail to come in so I can show it you. But if you're subscribed, you might get it before me. You might get it before me. Oh, well, while we think about that...
I've got an email that says Elaine from the crew is confirmed.
Right, the next thing we do is we've got to tell all the other people who aren't subscribed, which is where our social media comes in. So, let's whip into our social media. And let's go into the MacBites feed. So, MacBites. Right, here's my podcast app. There we go. Not podcast. Here's my Twitter, my tweet bot. Right, and this is MacBites. We're in the mentions at the moment, but we'll go up there and we'll go to the top. There you go. Those are the people that we follow. Let's make a new tweet. So, Command and N. Right, let's put surprise. Another new show. Yes, twice in a week. It's a miracle. Right, it is 0116. Tell me I'm right, Mike.
Yeah.
Shooting through, capital T, shooting through 2018. Right. Show 116.
It's still sending the email.
Okay, the email's still sending. It'll get there in the end. Graham's already got it. He's quite happy. Don't think Graham's worried about the email in the slightest. Right, what I do need is I need the link. The one from the webpage, which is the actual show. There it is. And just for good measure, I think I should put the image in, which is the show art. There's our show art. This is where the desktop comes in. Which one shall we use? Let's use the big one. Let's use that one. Right, surprise, another new show. Yes, twice in a week. 16 shooting through. There you go. That can go. Boom. So anybody who follows on Twitter is now aware of this. I think Siri should have something to say. So let's go into there. Siri, where are you, Siri? Siri. Oh, look, Graham. I've been talking to Siri. Right, let's make a new one of those. Twice in a week. Right. There we go. Let's paste that in. Let's get the show art off that. And let's say hi to Siri. Tweet. Way. Excellent. Glad you got it, Patrick. Right, have I got my email yet so I can show those who aren't subscribed? Should have come in by now, shouldn't it? Yeah, I've got it twice, so it worked, Mike. All right, let's have a look at that one so you can see. Back screw. Who's that going to? That's the one to me, actually. I want the other one that was to the second me. Right, there you go. So let me whip that up there. There we go. So I'll bring this in so you can see it. There's my email. Now, just to prove to you, this isn't normally me. It says to Elaine, which is right. But if I show you that, it was the one I used to subscribe. Elaine G plus the crew at. There I am. So that was the one that I subscribed to tonight. And there is the actual mail. And if you subscribed, you should have that mail too. So if you did, let us know. Let us know whether you got that as well. So we got some tweets in there now. They should have gone. If you're following along and you're on Twitter, give us a retweet. In fact, what I'll do under Elaine Giles, I'll retweet MacBites and MacBites Siri. There you go. I'll annoy people and retweet twice. Well, no, not twice, but you know what I mean. Retweet from me. There you go. So, 2 retweets there. So, that's what's involved with publishing a show. Now, just in case you didn't follow along with all of that, let's see it again. All right, don't panic, not all of it. A summary of what's involved. We started off in Notion. We do our planning and we do our collaboration in Notion. When it comes to doing the recording, we both record into Audio Hijack. It used to be called Pro. It's Audio Hijack now. I end up with 2 files. And those 2 files I take into Hindenburg. And I do my editing in Hindenburg, which is a fantastic app for editing the spoken word. If I need artwork, and in today's case, it was extra artwork, then I go into Affinity Designer. But all of my artwork was designed in Affinity Designer. I manage all of that artwork in Pixave. And then what I consider to be the most complicated, just in terms of, you've got 3 things to do with it. That bit's Scrivener. But Scrivener, while it looks complicated, I would say that probably saves on an average show publishing about 2 hours. Because the old way was so manual, wasn't it, Mike? And there was no real workaround. If you wanted what we wanted, it was hours. So it does the recording notes. It does the show notes, it does the blog post, and it does the email. It needs a little bit of help with the blog post, and that's where Ulysses comes in. And the text editor that we use for all of this is BBEdit. The reason I use BBEdit for this is that BBEdit is scriptable, and luckily I can write code. So I've scripted it to create the files that we need and to strip out what we don't need from the export. Next, it's CloudMounter. And CloudMounter is running for me all of the time. I upload the show and I upload the mail assets. And if you remember, that was where I right-clicked and said make public. Then there's the actual feed, and that was done in Feeder, and that we use for the publishing. The next step was Mike and his email. So when I've made the email, I hand over to Mike, and Mike sends it to you guys. All of which means takes a lot of tech to do something that looks remarkably simple. And we're okay with that, actually, aren't we? It's a process that's grown over the last 11 years. If you can imagine I wasn't giving you a blow-by-blow commentary on that, it's a job that can now be done in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. It just looks complicated as I'm explaining it, as I'm going through it. But there's all of those apps involved. I wouldn't want to do the job. I'm having a quick look here. I wouldn't fancy doing the job without any of them. So don't go and die anywhere anytime soon. All of you apps, you can't go anywhere. We use all of you in this process. Right. Any questions, basically? Any questions? Because other than that, we're going live again on Friday. Whee! We're back to a more normal after hours on Friday. So our normal day and our more normal content, which is the week at MacBites headquarters, which will involve no extra show, will it? There will not be another one before next weekend. But there might be one soon after, you never know. We will have an Affinity Adventure of the Week. I can't for the life of me remember what it was, Mike, but I did have something. We will also have an unboxing. I've already got it and I can't unbox it. So we will definitely have an unboxing of the week. And of course, much, much more. If there's something that you would like to see, let us know. We were actually asked about the podcasting process. I nearly said codpasting process, the podcasting process. So that's why we covered it today. So hopefully those that asked about it, you've now got an idea what it all entails. If you've got something you would like to see, let us know. Or a demo you would like to see, let us know. You can get in touch with us through all of those ways. So the website at macbites.co.uk, our email at macbitesuk@gmail.com. We are all on Twitter. All of us. MacBites, me, Mike, and MacBites Siri. Sometimes MacBites Siri is on there more than me, you know. And if you're an After Hours listener and you're thinking, MacBites who? You need to hear MacBites Siri. In fact, I reckon we've lost Graham now, and I reckon Graham's gone off to listen to the show.
Probably has.
I can imagine that, because Graham, he always... Do you remember when Minster used to try and get there first? I reckon Graham's edged him. I reckon Graham has edged him. And I reckon Graham is the one to get to the series sketch first. I reckon it's Graham. Do you listen on 2 times, Graham, or are you just not that brave? Because that would be insanity. So that was what was involved. Have you got any questions? Are you going to chat? You're very welcome, Patrick. It's it seems more complicated than I think we think it is. We did actually find it quite complicated to sit down and try and simplify it. What was complicated was, you saw the bit where I pasted it into Ulysses, and then I said, but I can't publish it yet because I haven't uploaded the show. So we might do things in a slightly different order, but if I'd have tried taking you guys through it with the normal order I do it in, it wouldn't have been logical. You're like, well, how can you do that because you've not done that? So we did sit down and really think it through. We didn't actually make any changes though, did we?
We didn't.
No, I thought we might. I thought we might say, oh, do you know what? We could tighten that up, or we can merge those 2 things. But no, we didn't. We were concerned that it was in the right order so you could follow along. And I think now we've been through it all, I think it was. And there were no grand disasters in terms of, I was thinking, the 3 exports that I create. I create 3 exports from Scrivener, and then BBEdit makes an extra file. So I end up with 4 files. And I think the key to it is naming them so I know exactly, precisely, which is which. And that I put the right file in Notion for Mike to pick up. And it does, it goes like clockwork. On Tuesday, when we published 115, I was in a cranky mood on Tuesday, wasn't I, if I'm honest? Yes, it was. Matt, you had multiple webinars and I wanted to publish the show, and you said you'd have to wait till after the webinar. And my attitude was like, no, we're not doing that. Oh, I'm getting the eyeballs now. Was there a reason for it? Go on. Because you thought it'd take 3 hours to publish.
No, because you said I'm not rushing it between 2 webinars.
Oh, I said I wasn't rushing it between 2 webinars. But when it actually came to publishing it, the process is so honed now, it took like 2 minutes. So we were both very, very impressed with our own hard work to create something that actually now is manageable. Graham, this is how come there's been 2 shows in a week. But at least now you know what's involved. Any alternatives to Hindenburg, it's quite expensive. Pretty much any audio editor will do you. Audacity is completely free and it does have multiple tracks. The reason I use Hindenburg, let me come out and show you. Let's go back into Hindenburg with the last show. The reason I use it, the editing process is nice and flexible. I can add the chapter markers straight into my audio editor, which has proved problematic with everything since GarageBand. Adobe Audition cannot do that, which is ridiculous. So that saves time. But the biggest time saver I find is the clipboard, which is the area over here on the right. Now, it's quite scrunched up at the moment. It's quite scrunched up because I've got my screen res set very small for this. But this clipboard is like a bin area. And these are loaded in automatically. So every time I make a new show, I actually have the dun 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 and the drum roll and the sad trombone and all of those things, and our stingers. So our Apple Bites, our generic stinger, the news stinger, Switcher's Corner. We've not had a Switcher's Corner in a while. They're all loaded in. No, well, you've been a slider. You're sliding backwards. What it enables me to do is not worry about where those files are. They're just there. And if I need to add to them, I can. But at least I've got a starting point. And then the Siri bits, when Siri has something to say, it goes in this middle bin called Siri. I'm wondering if I can actually show you anything that's preloaded in there. And I'm thinking, I don't think I can actually, because once you add the item to the timeline, it disappears from the bin because you don't want to use it twice, probably. So if I go across, you see the Siri bit at the end. There's the Siri bit. So all of these clips that are down here, all of those would be ready and available from the bin for me to use. So I'm thinking about it. Audacity doesn't have those kind of features. But if you're doing a standard audio clip and stuff, then you're fine with Audacity. It's not got the prettiest interface because it's cross-platform. Another one that you could use, depending on the file formats, is Fission, which is this one. Let me find an audio file that I can open. My audio files are in the cloud. Where's my MacBites? Here we go. What have we got here? We've got some Siri, we've got some dialogue. Have we got a file we can open? Let's open the actual show. So let's open that in there and just show you Fission. That's Fission. So all these little gaps you see here, it's reading in the chapters that you saw me put in. March, April, May, etc. This one's not as expensive. Nothing's going to be as fully featured as Adobe Audition or Hindenburg. But they're very, very capable. And this one's less than $40, I think. So it's not expensive at all, really. If I was starting out and I was looking for one and I was prepared to invest the time and not worry about the interface, I'd go for the free one and go for Audition. So Mike's put the link in for that. That's the one I would go for. Another option you've got is Amadeus. You saw me open Amadeus. So let's open recent. I'm not sure at all I want to do that. But there we go. Oh, it was a little one, wasn't it? That was fine. Little tiny one. That's absolutely fine. And that's what that one looks like. That's multi-track as well. And I think that is quite inexpensive. Let's have a look, because I know I bought that from the App Store. I wouldn't buy it from the App Store now. I would buy it from him. You're not going to let me type in there. Amadeus Pro. And there's a light version as well if you want to try that. So Amadeus Pro is, let me have a look. Come on. Oh, $54.99. It wasn't when I bought it. Might as well buy Hindenburg Lite for that. But the other one is £24, pounds. So you've got options. But to be honest, if I had to compare Amadeus with Audacity, I'd go with Audacity, and Audacity's free. And Graham, just for good measure, what have I got in my updates? You know what's in my update, don't you? That's not happening anytime soon. That is not happening at all before a live show. Leave it alone. Walk away. So has anybody got any other questions? Pretty much anything will do you if it's one person doing some audio. The multi-track comes into it when you've got multiple things where you've got me, you've got Mike, you've got Siri, you've got Lady Siri. Oh, you've got outtakes and all kinds of stuff, sound effects. It just makes it a little bit easier. Have I got Audacity? Audacity. There we go. There's Audacity. I've got that many audio apps installed. That's Audacity. I actually did an example of Audacity, a demonstration, in one of my courses, which I can add to the list to show you when I've published it somewhere. Which should be a good start, wouldn't it? I'm going to make myself a note. Mike's witness here. I'm going to make myself a note about showing you a demo of Audacity, which you can't get better than free. What I did with it, I was using it as a demonstration for recording, editing, and noise removal. And I wanted to use something that most people would have, and I didn't want to use something that's sort of £350, £400. So I did it in here, and the difference was amazing. I could show you the video, but that would do you no good. You need to hear it. So I will dig out that video and I will do that as a demonstration and show you that. And you'll see just how good Audacity can be. Like I say, the reason I don't use it is just the niceties of having a bin to drag things from and stuff like that. It's nothing to do with the quality of the output. That's absolutely fine. I just look at that interface and think, it looks like it was written for Windows in 1994, which obviously it probably was. It's cross-platform. I think there's even a Linux version. So that's why it looks the way it looks, which isn't exactly the prettiest app I've ever seen, but it does the job. It's very, very, very capable. So that's the one to go for. Right. So any other questions? Let's get back to the slides so you can see backwards. There we go. Our contact details while we see if there are any more questions before it's time to go and get something to eat. It's got to be fruit again, hasn't it? But I wasn't healthy last night, was I? Well, actually, I was. We went to a Burns night supper, and I had haggis and neeps and tutties, and then we had roast beef, which was rather nice, but I don't eat potatoes, so I left those for Mike. And then for dessert, now last year there was a Scottish speciality which wasn't prepared correctly. So this year they went for a fruit salad, which, so there was another fruit salad for us. Last year's was, it should have been Scottish raspberries folded into cream, mingled with oats that had been soaked in whiskey overnight. And the problem was they hadn't soaked the whiskey overnight. So if you can imagine dry oats in quite thick cream, 2 mouthfuls and you couldn't open your mouth. It was like glue. So they did something less dangerous this year. And then there was cheese and biscuits, but as Mike pointed out, they're a bit stingy on the cheese front, weren't they? There was only one sort of plate of cheese for a table of 10. Stuart and Ellen, you and me. 8. The table of 8. It was a tiny thing for a table of 8, to be honest. But we did have some cheese and biscuits. Then there was coffee and mince. And they actually brought the mince this time, because the last one we went to, no mince. But we had tea. We had tea, and I gave Mike my mint. You know the old advert about do you love anyone enough to give them your last Rolo? I gave you my only mint. Oh, that's so sweet. I don't really eat them. I don't really like them, no. Yeah, but a woman deprived of chocolate could eat anything. But I didn't. I gave it to you. I gave it to you. So, last call for questions. Graham, what are you having to eat? I'm glad to know you only listen at normal speed, because I'm not at all sure Mike and I would make any sense faster than normal speed. Although I could challenge somebody to try listening at 2 times.
I listen at 1.5.
You listen at 1.5, and do we sound squeaky?
I sound better.
You sound better and I sound alarmingly fast.
You sound normal.
Do I? Are you saying I speak quite slowly and need to be speeded up? Because most people tell me I motor along and I do not need speeding up.
I say nothing.
I don't think you should say anything. No, it's not going to work, that, is it? Did I have a list of what we were covering next week? I'm sure I did. Mike's going to show you automating social media. I'm going to show you mail management, and I had something else, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was, Mike. Let me go into Notion on an iPad and have a look. Did I put it in Notion? Would I be that organised, do you think? Let me have a look. I need the shows, and I need 100. No, not 112. We're not got that far yet. MacBites After Hours 12. What have I got in here? Content items. Good grief. Oh, I look at that. Amazing. I have got a demonstration of Affinity Designer working cross-application with Affinity Publisher. This was something that was born out of something I really needed to do for real this week, and my heart was in my mouth. I thought I'm going to have to recreate all this work. And I just on a whim thought, do you know what? Just try it. And it blew my socks off. So that's the demo I'm going to do. Made me happy, should make you guys happy. Oh, Graham had a fruit salad as well. But you had 3 pear drops. I didn't have 3 pear drops. And a small bar of Peruvian dark chocolate. Now we know, Graham. I need to listen to the Mac Geek Gab podcast at half speed. What do we sound like at half speed? Do we sound drunk? I wonder if anybody listens to us at half speed. That might not be a bad idea, actually. I wonder if you need to listen to Mike at a different speed to me. That would never do.
Try.
Oh, Mike's going to have a go now. What, listening at half speed? That could sound like the batteries are running down. I reckon it could. He's giving it a go live right now. Hello, welcome to MacBites episode 116. I'm Elaine Johnson. It's As you should well be aware. Oh, God. Not. Why not? Oh, no, I can't do that. How do you get it faster? Let's take it up. We have a new show, After Hours. So, we have a system as well. Now, this will come as a shock. Many of you, to be honest. In fact, probably all of you. But there is a method behind this madness. So, while we were looking back at all the stories from last year, we thought some of the things are absolutely hysterical. And some of them we had no clue about. So we thought we'd do a review of the year.
Keep going. That's 3 times. Don't do it again.
But I must admit, 1st of January, why wouldn't I
I sing a story, mate? Why wouldn't you sing a story? Because if you're anything like me, you'd be too busy. Do you know?
Well, he was. I'm trying.
I'll get rid of it. That's
to
scary.
remember.
No.
You know the
Oh, I can't be doing with that.
thing they have.
No.
Do you sound drunk?
See, they have a concert.
That's appalling. Graham, you're a bad boy. You're a bad, bad boy, Graham. That's awful. I can't listen to that. You know when you say you can't listen to yourself? I'm all right at one times, but I don't like it at any other speed. Graham, you're totally right. I'm scared now. I'm scared. I wouldn't like to think of anybody listening at half speed. Just in this show, if you listened at half speed, would take you nearly 3 hours. So you don't want to do that. You absolutely don't want to do that. So who's going to be with us next week? Friday, 9 o'clock. When we're doing scheduling social posts, mail management, and a rather snazzy Affinity Designer, Affinity Publisher workflow. Do you think Affinity Publisher will be out by then?
No.
No, I don't either. It's nowhere near ready for prime time, is it? Which they themselves admitted in an email this week. Oh, talking of which, who uses Hoodspot? Do you use Hoodspot? Let me know. Oh, and while you're at it, while you're typing that in, do you use GoodNotes? I've got a feeling Graham uses Notability. I know Nick does. And I think Graham uses Notability. Let me know whether you use GoodNotes. He's clearly very brave, is Dave Hamilton. I couldn't be doing with that. I sound terrible. Do you know the problem, Graham? I've never been drunk. I don't drink. If that was what I would sound like drunk, I'm glad I don't drink. Ah, great. Graham's going to be there. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let me know about GoodNotes and the mind's going. What else did I want to know? GoodNotes and something else. Oh, Graham will know. Graham will be listening. I'm not listening to myself, but Graham will know. Notability. Oh, good. Yes. Great. Notability and Hoodspot. Do you use Hoodspot? Howderspot, however they say it. I knew you would use Notability. I quite like Notability, but you can't really have your notes in two places. It's most unfortunate because I like some of the features of Notability and I like other features of GoodNotes. What I really want is a Notability GoodNotes hybrid. Good Notability. That's the app I want. I don't think I'm going to get that. There's been a bit of a farce with GoodNotes, Graham. So, seeing as though you use Notability, you can enjoy it. If you're a GoodNotes user, less so. But you'll enjoy it because you can sit back smugly and think, ha! So that's going to be in the next show, which is going to be out soonish. My lips are sealed. But it will be soonish. Did we put the date in the thing we've just let people see? Oh, let me have a look. Shows. Shows. But no, I'm not going. Where am I going? Shows. Come on. Show production. Were you paying attention, Graham? Did you see it? Shows. Let's have a look. No, I didn't. I did not put dates in there. Oh, hang on. I did. If you were paying attention, there's a date in there. Oh, my word. There's a date in there. That's all I'll say. If you were paying attention, there's a date in there. But if you weren't paying attention, then you missed it. Not to worry. Right, okay then. Hoodspot. Don't forget to let me know. Do not forget to let me know. But I think that's it, isn't it? I'm exhausted now. I'm thinking publishing a show had got easier. I think it was all the explanation behind it. I don't want to convince myself again it's difficult. I need to convince myself it's simple. I wouldn't say it's simple yet. It's easier than it was. Excellent. That's fantastic, Patrick. We look forward to having you with us. Right, but for now, I think we're done. Are we done?
We are.
I haven't forgotten anything.
No.
Anything critical?
No.
No, because I've got to be up early in the morning, haven't I? Oh, it's not looking good. It's 11 o'clock. Right, well, let's call it a night then. I hope you enjoyed that look behind the scenes. We thought there was an app in there for everybody. We're just using them in sometimes an odd way. Most people use Ulysses to write stuff. We just pass stuff through it to publish it to WordPress. But hey, it works. So it's a matter of looking at the apps you have and making them work. And sometimes we add apps in, sometimes we take apps away. It's all a matter of streamlining it to be the fastest process we can do. I don't think it's doable, on an iPad only yet. So our iPad-only fundamentalist friends, no, it's not going to work. But we'll have a look at that one day. You never know. You never know. But I don't have to worry about it now, do I? Because I've got my MacBook Air. Sure. So even if we're away, I'm minted. I just need an internet connection. Talking of which, the shooting holiday's coming up. But he's promised he's not going to have another go this year. Whether he will or not remains to be seen. Well, hope you guys have a fantastic week. Do get in touch. Let us know what you want to see, what you want included in these after hours. And let us know what you think of our review of the year. We love, love, love to hear from you. So do let us know. We'll also be tweeting this show and the other show because Mike needs some data for next week. So there'll be lots of tweets this week, won't there, Mike? You'll be red hot and right on the button. Fantastic. So that's it for this show. It's good night from me.
It's good night from me.
And we will both see you next time.